Hey everyone, this is Larry with Today I Feel Like. I recently updated my Sony A7CR and they added dynamic image stabilization. So before it had no image stabilization, it had standard and active, but now they have a dynamic active mode on there, which is really good, but it has a pretty severe crop. So I wanted to test out if it's better to use the dynamic image stabilization in body or if it's better to turn off image stabilization and then stabilize it in post using something like GyroFlow. So let's go ahead and get some footage in the different image stabilization modes, and then let's test it against GyroFlow. Now, in order to find out which stabilization method is going to work the best, we need to actually shoot some footage with both. So I'm going to go ahead and start off using the dynamic image stabilization in my Sony A7CR and using my 16-25 f2.8 lens, and we'll see how it does just when I'm walking and talking. Now, one thing with the dynamic mode is it crops in a lot. It's a pretty severe crop. So your 16 is no longer going to function like a 16 millimeter. It's going to function probably more like a 20 or something like that. So anyways, this is the 16-25 at 16 millimeters, but with the dynamic image stabilization turned on. So let's go ahead and turn all image stabilization off and see how it looks when it's ran through GyroFlow and in comparison to the in-camera stabilization. Okay, well, we are now shooting with no stabilization on at all, and we're just walking here. And so let's go ahead and run it through GyroFlow and start that right now. And now our footage is stabilized through GyroFlow. Now, one nice thing about using no stabilization is you get the true focal length of your lens, whereas with the in-body stabilization, it does crop in quite a bit. So when you turn that off, you turn off the crop and you actually get the wider field of view and the true focal length of your lens. Now you can also shoot in active stabilization on the Sonys, and this is sort of a, sort of a compromise between, no stabilization and dynamic, because you get some stabilization, so you do have a wider field of view, but it's just not as stable. Whereas that dynamic stabilization is just buttery smooth, like you're on a gimbal. But let's go ahead and run this active stabilization that is a little bit wider through GyroFlow. And so now we're GyroFlowing, and we'll see how this looks and if it's going to give us any better stabilization, and if it's going to remain as wide or at least wider than the dynamic. So I don't know. Which one do you guys think looks the best? All right, what did you think about that? I want to know which one you thought was the best. Did you like the GyroFlow version or the in-body stabilization? Which one do you think actually performed the best? Honestly, I like them both. I think they both did a really good job with the GyroFlow version and the dynamic active stabilization in camera. I think they both performed really well. But for the interest of time and simplicity, I will likely use the dynamic active stabilization in camera. I do have this 16-25, so at 16 millimeters, this lens is still wide enough for what I'm using it for. And if I really need to be wider, I can turn off the image stabilization and then stabilize it in post. But I think for what I'm using, the dynamic active in camera is probably what's going to work best for me. But I want to know what you think, so drop me a comment down in the comments section. Now, I'm going to leave links to, well, GyroFlow and my camera and my lens and everything else down below in the video description so that you can check it out if you're interested. I'll also leave links to my Amazon page, my social media contacts, so you can reach me elsewhere. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. And please subscribe to this channel and follow me on Instagram. And I am Larry with Today I Feel Like. Thanks for coming back to see me. Come back and see me soon. And until next time, love, peace, and hair grease. Peace.